Hey guys, relatively quick video. Well, usually my videos are anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, so we'll see how relatively quick this is. Shortest way I can articulate what I'm thinking is this. With the advent of these streaming services like PlayStation Now, whatever cloud service Microsoft comes up with, if Steam does something similar, although they're already digital only, a lot of people are taking this approach of like, video gaming as we know it is dead. And that's one argument, but I think that what I'm upset about is that people are using the whole I'd rather hold it in my hands argument, because if I can hold it in my hands, they can't take it away thing. Getting a little sick of hearing that, because that's just where the rest of the video game industry goes. It doesn't matter where you procure the game code, whether it's on a disc, a digital download, or it's streaming. Here's the fact of the matter. Many games have a required online component, whether it's Need for Speed Rivals, or Warframe, or Blacklight, SimCity, although they just released an offline version because the online didn't work. Destiny's going to be always online, this sort of thing. Doesn't matter whether you have a copy of the disc, a digital download, or the gameplay is streaming to you. If the servers that administer that online-only component shut down, doesn't matter whether or not you have the disc. Okay? That's it. So don't rally against PlayStation Now or Microsoft's cloud service, or if Steam does the same thing. Rally against always online gameplay. That's what you should be rallying against. You know, we need to have an option where we don't have to be connected to a gameplay server to play a game. Granted, with the streaming services, it's kind of the same thing, but I can play Crash Bandicoot through PlayStation Now, in theory, without anybody else being online. They're not being, you have to be online to play the gameplay itself. You know what I mean? Like, there's no online component to playing Crash Bandicoot outside of the fact that that game is streaming to your device. So, in other words, as long as the game is available, you can play it. Okay? I can pop in a disc or a digital download of the same game and play it without having to be connected to the internet otherwise. So I think that people are kind of losing focus as to what the argument really should be. You know, these guys are going into this with the intent that these services will go on conceivably forever. And I have to be completely honest with you here. I've said it a million times elsewhere, but let's face facts. If there is a level of catastrophe that there's not enough online connectivity in the world, or the infrastructure collapses, or Sony goes under, you know, there's a good chance that EMP or a nuclear weapon or some other kind of catastrophe was involved. And whether or not you can access Destiny or Bioshock or whatever game you want to play, that's just not going to matter. So, the streaming gameplay thing, that's not really a problem. The problem is online gameplay. And a lot of people are talking about it lately, but I keep hearing this argument of, I'd rather hold the disc in my hand. And don't get me wrong, I'm usually that guy too, although with the convenience of the PS4 and the Vita and being able to switch between games like that, I am finding that owning the physical copy is a bit antiquated. You know, I think that we need to evolve and lower the cost of storage solutions for these devices, and digital, you know, a physically digital, as in it's on your hard drive or your memory card. I think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as there's something in place to ensure you'll always be the owner of that, which for the most part we've already got. So, I think that digital downloads and disc games are kind of in the same bed right now, where you have to be able to at least retain ownership of your game in some fashion, and be able to play it without having an active gameplay server where most of the gameplay occurs in the cloud. And I'm speaking about these games that are separated. The streaming thing, that's not changing the marketplace in that respect at all. It's just how you access the game itself. Okay? But because PlayStation Now, for example, is streaming the gameplay to you, but that server that's streaming the game is then connected to another server for multiplayer. So, sake of argument, let's say you were playing, just to use a current example, SimCity, the new SimCity, without its offline mode through PlayStation Now. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's just say you were. So you've got the game here, but then that server is connected to another server that administers the online-only aspect. That server goes poof. Now, whether you're accessing the game through this, or a disc, or a digital copy of the game because this other server is kaputski, doesn't matter how you got the game. At all. Doesn't matter. PlayStation Now is not the problem. It's relying on an external server to administer your gameplay is the problem. There, I said it. Stop making this about discs and digital downloads versus streaming. It's not a question of ownership anymore. And I gotta be honest with you, in a day and age where people are emulating the old school games all the time and playing those through a browser or whatever, I don't want to hear it. I really don't, because this is nothing new. The problem is that when you take however you access the game, streaming, digital download, or disc, and then you need an external server to relying on that for gameplay features. That's the problem. What do you think? Comment, rate, subscribe. You know the deal. Thanks for listening as always. Have a great weekend. Happy birthday, Martin Luther King, and keep on grinding.